Hi everyone. So this film is an overview of 1 year without lithium. So where shall I begin? So it was August last year that I finished tapering, and it's now the first to second week of September in 2019. So life is completely different now for many different reasons, and some things are totally the same, but life always changes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the differences that I feel now that I'm not on medication. And let's start now. The first thing that was tricky was like going to the kitchen before bed and getting ready to take my meds, and then realizing I didn't have to take them anymore. And that kind of started petering out after a couple of weeks and months. But then literally last week, I was like standing in the kitchen before bed. I looked up towards the shelf where I used to keep my medication, the lithium carbonate pills, and I was like, what just happened there? So still, I think it was probably because it was like a whole year cycle. My body is still remembering, after seven and a half years of taking it, that's something that's still kind of ingrained in my physical body that I should still be doing, but I'm not. And so it's kind of reminding my body, my physical body and my mind that actually I'm not on it anymore. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, I could go to bed without taking medication. So that's really kind of refreshing, and it doesn't kind of pin you down to this routine that I had to make sure that I kept, in my life and not forget. The other thing is when I go off away from home for like a night or a holiday or whatever, I don't have to think about pills, and I can just kind of relax, pack my bags. I'm like, yay, I don't have to think about remembering my lithium, because there's quite a few holidays where I forgot them, and then you've got all that madness trying to get some drugs when you're off at a different pharmacy and you're not near your doctor, and that was a pain in the bum. So that's kind of a feeling of extra freedom that I didn't have before. Pause. So on a more kind of a note regarding emotions, so there's obviously still been ups and downs within this year, but the way it feels when I stopped taking lithium, how do I describe that? Because it's really subtle, and it's like, so your brain is obviously being like, parts of it are kind of blocked and cut off from kind of having access to it when you're on medication like lithium. And when that is removed, I noticed that basically I had access to my feelings and emotions in a way that I couldn't ever reach or notice that I didn't have that capability when I was on the lithium. And so because of that, I was able to really kind of stop and listen to what was it that I was actually feeling, what was that emotion that I could kind of sense inside of my body, wherever it was kind of located, whether it was in my heart or, up here, or I'm going to talk about this in a lot more eloquently. I'm in a bit of a rush today in the future, but I'm just trying to give you an overview. And so because I had access to that, it meant that in time I was able to actually work on the more kind of negative or sad or upsetting or difficult kind of sensations and emotions that were inside of me. And when I was on the medication, it's like I couldn't work on it because I couldn't get to it, and I couldn't understand what was going on because it was blocked. So it's like you're blindfolded and you can't see, or you can't, you're deaf and you can't hear, but about you. So you are kind of much more blank when you're on the medication, and then everything kind of opens up, and you've got more depth, and you can kind of delve in and dive in and like, okay, work with that. And then when you notice something, you can kind of release it and cry and let it go, or have an angry moment, or just like walk it off, or do what you need to do. You can kind of help yourself to heal and actually move forward, and in a kind of emotional way, because as long as it's blocked and hidden, then how can you work on it? So for me, that was like a huge revelation, and something that I felt like, okay, I can really get to a place of much better mental health without this medication, because I can do something about what I feel, whereas before I couldn't. And so then I would just be kind of stuck in this place of sameness, and how can I work on myself if I can't feel it, or notice things, and it's all hidden. So I've kind of said that over and over again 3 times in different ways. Sorry about repeating myself, but I'm really trying to get to the essence, and I guess I'm a little bit out of practice talking to you guys. It's been a while, and I'll get used to it again. But let's see if there's anything else I can point out. I'm going to quickly touch on my family and how it was for them, for me not to be on meds. And I think while I was on lithium, so my close family, my husband, my daughter, not so much, she's not that bothered maybe, I haven't asked her, but my mum, and I think they felt that there was a kind of degree of safety and comfort for them, knowing that I was kind of secure and level and steady on medication, and that they didn't really have to worry about me, because I had that to keep me from getting manic or psychotic, or that kind of worry that there might be a relapse. So I remember having conversations with my mum about, what would you do, Joe, if you did have a relapse and you started getting high, and I said, I would go and get help. I would go and find a doctor, and I would talk to the psychiatrist, and I'd find a way through this, even though I had withdrawn off the medication myself, and I'd done it really without the help of a doctor, which I don't necessarily support for you guys. I think it's really good to have help, and so then my husband, I feel like he was a little bit on the same wavelength as my mum, that kind of feeling of security and what should we do, and kind of he was kind of looking out for me at times, like, oh, you're acting a bit strangely, are you a bit too smiley, or a bit too happy, dancing a bit too much, are you getting high, so I kind of felt a bit like being watched at times. But in over like the months, that kind of faded, and he kind of felt, okay, Joanna's all right, really. She's coping with this fine, and he kind of had less concerns over, it wasn't something that he had to think about so much or analyse. And now there's kind of, I feel like he has this confidence in my stability, and that is kind of relaxing and makes me more at ease as well. So there's this kind of wave of change that not just you, but all the people that you live with around you, that have to kind of learn how to kind of rebalance, I suppose, and go through life a bit differently than before. And so, for example, my activity levels now, I've got 2 jobs, and I'm kind of managing that pretty well. There are times when I'm tired, but I sleep and I still have ways of looking after myself and making sure that I'm kind of healthy mentally and physically, and I don't get too tired. And so this kind of set of films of 50 or so that I want to create for you guys is going to go into more detail about all these different aspects. And now I can't do this all in one film. So yeah, I think it's really exciting, and I'm basically here for you guys, not so much on replying to all your messages because my life is full and busy, but I'm here for you in terms of a film. And if there's something that pops out and that I've read, I'm like, okay, I'll put it into a film for you guys and answer the question. But yeah, it's not like before where I didn't work so much and I was, having all the Lyme's disease, and I had loads of time. Now it's not like that, so it's very different. And I'll upload my films when I can. So again, it's not going to be necessarily